Good morning and welcome to Tarot Time. Happy winter solstice or summer solstice for those south of the equator. Happy Yule for those who celebrate. I think today or tomorrow is the last day of Hanukkah. And then Christmas is coming. And I've got actually a surprise today for you, a treat, a holiday treat for Tarot Time. So we'll get into that in a minute. And if you're watching this as a video, welcome, whatever time of the day it is. But those of you that are here on Sunday morning, and the winter solstice happened literally 1 hour ago. So we're now in the 6 months where the days are getting longer here in the northern hemisphere. So anyway, so on this Sunday morning, are we coffee, tea, or caffeine free? The winter's morning, winter just began, although winter weather's been here for a while. I mean, I'm drinking black tea, but I could use a shot of espresso, truth be told, right about now. Very, very tired, very, lot going on, except for sleep. Lot else is going on in my world. But how are you guys doing? Let me put my glasses on and say hello. So hello, Kaya. Enjoy the holidays. Hello, Millie. Um, hello. So we have Joyce. Welcome. And hi, Kaya. Help everyone. And hello, Millie. The background warm greeting. Yeah, I've got to get the Christmas music going, right? And hello, Millie, Roseanne. Uh, who else is here? Good morning, Katie. And good morning, Beverly. I think you're in UK, right? Wherever you are, good morning or good afternoon if you're in UK. Happy winter solstice. And Roseanne is first up today with her good mornings. And yes, and hello, Kathleen. Oh, welcome. All right, so we're kind of slow. Only 15 people have found us so far, but that's cool. Yeah, so let me grab a little more tea and we'll dive right on into this. So tonight at 7, we're gonna do our traditional winter solstice transmission with the master teachers to reset. It's a rebirth energy. That's a lot of what this is about. The sun is being reborn, and I found in my own life that and I'll go out later if hopefully the sun will come out later, but I've always found that on winter solstice day the sun just seemed to have this iridescent glow about it, even though it's the lowest sun, the darkest sun of the year. It's really gets what here 41 degrees, 42 degrees latitude, 62. Yeah, it only gets about 17 or 27 degrees above the horizon, so it's basically travels just over the mountains. But anyway, then slowly and then a little bit more quickly as the winter goes on, it'll start to get brighter, and this is the time of rebirth. The wheel of the year in the Celtic calendar, this is Yule. It's the birth of the sun god. Then of course Christmas is the birth of the son of God. So we have all that symbolism of rebirth that's happening. It's like the solar new year. So yeah, we'll do a little mini transmission at the end of tarot time today, and then we'll do a longer one at 7 Eastern time tonight. So anyway, hello Josh's universe, welcome Cincinnati man, and Kathleen, hello. Hello from Long Beach, New Jersey, and happy solstice. And Karma's into. I didn't see her, but hi, and hi Josh, and hi Doreen. Happy solstice, and yay! So some of my fellow inmates are here. Just kidding. um, there's the Karma. Hi horses, triggered hope. So yeah, on tarot time we tend to be a little bit more community. So I mean, I'll be working with tarot and other divination tools. Like I said, I have a little surprise. I'll unveil that shortly. A treat. And Then I have other divination tools, and we'll do our mini transmission later on. All right, so let's get into this. The solstice happened, I think it was 10:03 a.m. here on the East Coast or Eastern time. I think right around now, about an hour ago. And what else has been happening? Well, December the 19th was a big day, and then people say, "Big day, nothing happened." It's like, yeah, nothing happened, but it was still a big day. And what did happen? Three Eye Atlas was at its perigee to the Earth. 1.8 astronomical units away, 1.8 times the distance of the sun. It wasn't never exactly close to the Earth, but it was closest. And then we had the new moon on the 19th, just 36 hours before this the solstice. So we're still in that new moon energy, and the new moon was exactly conjunct within half a degree, I think, of galactic center, and in about within a half a degree of declination of galactic center. So the new moon was kind of opening that galactic portal, or enhancing the rhythms, the waves that we always receive from the center of our galaxy. Very, very subtle, obviously, but it's still a thing that resonates through the entire galaxy, really, from the center. Because everything resonates from the center out, right? That's why we do a lot of heart work and heart brain coherence, because we know that from the center of our being all radiates outwards and into our outer realities from our inner universes. So we create our universes from there. So there it is. So this is a really very special, auspicious time. This is a once in a lifetime solstice. To get a new moon within 48 hours, and having it in that declination in degrees of galactic center, that's about once every 30 years, maybe 20 to 30 years. But Three Eye Atlas is only the third interstellar object discovered. Now, as we can scan the cosmos more, we have more sophisticated telescopes, more are going to be discovered. I'm pretty sure we've been having these visitors from other star systems, always, but now we're discovering them. And we found it to be very electromagnetically relevant in the inner universe, conscious with it to some level anyway, with purpose, with intention. And it seems to be a beacon of awakening, heralding in this Aquarian age. So there's a lot of symbolic or archetypical relevance. And there are those that believe, and I can't say they're wrong because I don't know, but there's those that believe that this really is an extraterrestrial like craft or intelligence or beacon or something like that. But the point being is that we're never going to have Three Eye Atlas again, near the Earth. This is once in a lifetime, and everything lined up right at this new moon, right at the winter solstice, at this time of rebirth. So very, very special energy. And you had I've been having. I mean, I'm not one that always remembers my dreams, and I should do a little bit more conscious dream work. I used to do that and loved it. But lately, every night I've been remembering dreams, and they've been dreams where I've been going to different places, meeting with different people. Some I know, some I don't. So very, very active on the astral, in the fourth dimension lately. At least yours truly has been. And I think you guys may be also having a little bit more active, dream life. I come from Austin, the cool part of Texas. Welcome, GR8. Great. And yeah, we've had a not tremendous winds, nothing out of the ordinary, but we've had some pretty strong wind power out. Yeah, on that note, the weather's been very amped up, as we know, and we've talked a lot about on the channel. We've had a lot of solar activity. Sun's been kind of quiet lately. We haven't had any major flares. You had one minor coronal hole impact a few days ago. We'll probably get another one Christmas Eve into Christmas, a little bit more major. And then, as I mentioned in the December psychic forecast, if you remember that far back, I don't, even though it was only a few weeks ago, and I predicted a couple things. The period, watch out the period between Christmas and New Year's. I think there may be a disruptive event. Hopefully, it won't happen, and if it does, it will be after Christmas, so that it's not going to delay people's travel. So I think that's one of the forecasts too, that there'd be a lot of travel delays, but doesn't seem to be. I mean, from what I'm seeing now with the weather models, that doesn't seem to be verifying, but who knows? We're expecting a little bit of snow here on Tuesday, but we have had a lot of disruption. The Pacific Northwest, two major atmospheric rivers, and then with the sun, I had predicted that there could be activity early December, but that those what are they called again? Those solar flare, those sunspot groups wouldn't start firing until they reached the western limb, and they didn't start firing until they reached the western limb of the sun. Part psychic, part knowing how 3i Atlas is behaving, and when those flares, when those sunspots reached the western limb, they were starting to come into the influence of the interstellar object. Now, 28 days, well, not 3 weeks later, 3i Atlas is moving towards Jupiter. We're rotating in a way that when that sunspot group starts to become geo-effective, it's going to have that same angular energy with 3i Atlas. But anyway, to make a long story short, we had forecasted that some major flares could happen after Christmas into like the first or second week of January. That could be very disruptive with solar activity. We'll see. And then a lot with the earthquake activity also. And interest in the Bay Area, it's been rocking lately, right? If you live in that area, you've been feeling they had a 4.2, I think yesterday, which is a moderate earthquake. You feel that even in California, that gets your attention, and it's been active since early November in that area. So that could be a force shock sequence. So be aware. And then yesterday there were a couple of little pops a little bit west of the Cascadia fault, the Cascadia subduction zone. And that's an area that I'd said to keep an eye on from September on. Obviously, nothing happened in September. Hopefully, nothing will in our lifetime. But the Cascadia subduction zone, it is a potential area of a major underwater megathrust earthquake, the kind that produced tsunamis. And the Cascadia mountain range and the Cascadia subduction zone, well, they're interactive. So people all in the Pacific Northwest, just be aware, elevated risk of these things mean from like maybe a 0.01% chance of something happening, in the next 3 months, to a 1% chance. So that's an elevated risk, but it's something to keep an eye on. And intuitively, I believe something's going to happen, but I also believe that we have a lot of help from spirit, our extraterrestrial friends. And I do believe that they don't want, I don't know what they want. Geology has to happen. These things have to happen on the Earth. It translates the energies of the sun. And we've had a lot of solar flares. We're coming right off of solar maximum now. So the Earth is loaded with energy from the latest solar maximum. There was a lot more significant than the solar maximum of 2012 to 2014. So it's more likely things are more likely to happen on the planet, and plus there's more energy, more cosmic energy, and all these things. But God, spirit, source, our star brothers and sisters that are helping to oversee our ascension, they're not going to let anything happen that's going to revert us backwards. I mean, if something major happens, it's global. It's part of our ascension, not something that's going to set us back, if that makes sense. So we have help. In other words, I think even if there is a major event off the Pacific Northwest, which would affect the West Coast, it would affect California, Alaska, it could and Japan's the other area, and Kamacha Peninsula for Russia. Those are hot spots too. So I think something maybe even by the end of the year is going to pop in one of those regions, and it may be a surprise area also. Southern California to to around Mexico City. It's another area that I've had my attention on, and other areas too. So anyway, with that, what do you guys have to say about all that? And here's a dream affirmation for you. We like dream affirmations. My conscious dreams are clear, very good affirmation, something to do before bed. And the winds are, that is very strong. If Lindsay had strong winds, I want to see Lindsay's strong winds. Solstice. Oh, lucid dream affirmation cards, lovely, yeah. Last night, really very good. Lindsay saying, "Oh, it was so strange." I think you're talking about the winds, right? And yeah, praise for Sudan. I think was it Bulgaria, Romania, one of those Eastern countries has recently experienced a revolution, from what I've heard, like in overthrowing the government. Again, things that had come through in our psychic readings for the month. 75 miles an hour. That's hurricane force wind. So wherever you are, Lindsay, wow. I'm glad everybody's okay. There were gusts clocked to up to 140 miles an hour, I think, along Oregon. Maybe that was up in elevation where the wind are a little strong, but that's category 4 hurricane strength winds. Yeah, all right. So let's do some tarot stuff. And I'm just looking at your comments. All right, let's do some tarot stuff. So we like to start out with a meditation card. We finish off my tea. All I know is that I've had very, very little sleep all week, and it's really, starting to catch up with me. Getting up this morning was like, oh my God. I kept falling asleep during my morning meditation and popping up and falling asleep. And then I took, I do a 3-minute cold shower, which thanks to an unusually cold December for the modern climate, but what would be just basically another December back in the day. The water is really cold. It's like icicle cold. Well, I'll put it this way: it's cold enough that if you stuck your leg under it, your bones would hurt, and then eventually turn numb. So I do 3-minute cold showers. Yeah, polar bear. Considering I have like next to no meat on my bones, that's a good accomplishment. But anyway, but the point being, even that didn't wake me up. So, but here I am. And it is solstice, so it is that reset. We're pushing the reset button, and tonight at 7 Eastern time we'll do our master teachers activations for our reset, our rebirth energies. To step into our new cycles of life, our new ascension energy. Yeah, we're not at that point anymore where it's building up, where we're really really have entered maybe just the beginning of the earth changes. We're not in that cusp anymore. It's happening, and so far so good, right? But these next 3, 4, 5 years even going to be very, very, very defining. I do believe the light is winning. The light will win. When it's all about a balance. We talk about light and dark. There's nothing wrong with the dark. So when we say light, we mean more of the resonance of spirit, source, or God, and the low, or the dark being more of the Luciferian resonance. And the point being is that just because the light is winning doesn't mean the dark gives up. They try harder. So that's the thing we have to keep in mind. It was 2022 during a channeling session right here. Maybe a few of you remember where the master teacher coming in and declared the light has won. I think that was around the Lionsgate portal around that time. That's over 3 years ago. And if you look at the world, you'd be like, well, what are you talking about? What light is won? It doesn't seem that different. If anything, it seems a little bit worse. But there are glimmers of it. And if you look hard enough, you find that. And sometimes we have to find it within, and we have to feed that light or that higher resonance from within. And the more they do it, the easier the transition is going to be. And then the other part of that is to not disdain the dark, but actually thank it, because at the end of the day, it's the teacher. It's almost like the coyote legend in the Native American. The coyote is the trickster that'll wreak havoc, but it tricks us into learning and growing, basically. Yeah, could Lucifer have the same resonance? If you guys have something to say about it, let us know. So what are you guys saying? Because I'm sorry, Karma's her name, but what are we sorry about? Do we need to send prayers to you? I'm missing a lot of what you guys are saying. All right. Anyway, prayers to everybody that needs it. Namaste to Josh and all. Some greetings. So I think I haven't been able to tune into Good Dawning this week. I've been so darn busy, but I think you moved already, right, Josh? That's happened already. And hello, newcomer. I don't recognize your name. If you ISEEYO. I see your bull. I get it. I see your bull. Good morning. Yeah, I've been told that I have a pretty sharp BS meter myself. We need that today because it's all around. And if you deal with the world of psychics, mystics, channels, and so-called New Age or New Earth teachers, you need to have that BS meter up, because part of what the lower forces do, just like I was saying about the coyote, the trickster, is they will trick you into believing that they are the answer, right? That happens. And some that are skilled with energy will trick you into believing that you feel their energy, and it feels like, wow, such high energy. I'm feeling a awakening in this person's presence, and meanwhile they're just manipulating the emotional energy. Like the true masters have a whole different resonance, and when you're really in your heart is the best BS meter that there is, because the heart only knows truth, it only knows love. And but we're in our heads a lot. We're programmed, so sometimes it takes some spiritual work to really get into the vibration of the heart and really be able to discern the difference. So, but even though those fake teachers, manipulators, whatever, they have their place in our learning also. We go down these rabbit holes sometimes. We get tricked or whatever. It doesn't work out so well, but when we come out of it, we've learned a lot and we've grown a lot through the experiences. Anyhow, let's talk about wild winds. Where are you, Lindsay, exactly? I know the Pacific Northwest, a lot of areas have had that. And I think I don't even remember from month to month, but I think winds was one of the big messages about the month of December. I know we talked about atmospheric rivers. I know that came through in the psychic forecast. Honestly, I don't remember everything. I probably that I said, in the very beginning of the month. All right, so it's pretty breezy here. In case we do lose power, that would be the reason. And I think we're gearing up for some snow showers in a minute because it just got very dark out. I'm in upstate New York. It's only upstate for people in the city in Long Island. The Catskills is still southeastern New York. All right. I think there was some winter hail somewhere, not sleet, but actually real hail somewhere in the Northeast. We didn't have them up here, but there are places that had thunderstorms the other day. I think New Jersey had some hail. Millie, did you have hail? All right. And anyway, let me clear my mind. So we do a meditation card, which the intention is to tap into these energies and give us a focal point of our meditations this week. So we'll see what card that we get. I went right to the card. Spirit is with me. Ooh, the Fool card. This is, other than April Fool's Day, this is the second most relevant day for this card to come up, because the Fool represents spirit before manifestation. So it's a rebirth card. It's key 0. You see? Can you see that? Let me put this close to the camera. Yeah, 0, the Fool. 0's nothing, right? No thing. The void, that's nothing, no thing. That's spirit before a manifestation. So it really depicts a new journey. So we're in a new cycle. So the Fool will teach us how to be wise. I know it sounds like an oxymoron, right? Wisdom comes in being able to not allow overcautiousness or fear to stand in our way. So the wise fool takes appropriate risks, and the foolish fool just takes risk without any forethought, right? So the fool can be wise or foolish, and so this is the beginning of a new journey. And in the major arcana of the tarot, it's called the Fool's Journey. You start with key 0, and then you end up with key 22. And guess what? The Fool card is also key 22. Everything's a circle, right? We talk about that all the time. There's no circumference. The circle's always changing and modifying, but everything's a circle. There's no beginning. There's no end. It's just the beginning is where you are right now in this present now moment. And right now, it's the solstice, the winter solstice for most of us, the summer solstice for a few. So it has a different resonance. It's more like the light is at its highest and strongest. So it's really embracing that solar energy and being very creative and expressive. But for most of us, it's winter solstice. And he's got a flower, right? A white flower. So it's like an offering. You don't see it in the Hanson Roberts deck. That's the deck that I'm using. But in a lot of decks, there's a dog that represents allies, man's or human's best friend. And he's got like little, supplies, just very minimalist, right? Just a little supplies. And he's looking up out into space and walking off the precipice, taking that risk. So when we do our meditation with this card, it's about new beginnings. It's the winter solstice. So the idea is you get very relaxed, very present. You're not a name, you're not a body, you're energy, right? So when you can really achieve that level of presence where you transcend the illusion of the physical or the matrix, whatever you want to call it, the Maya, the illusion, and then you understand who you truly are, which is spirit, then you're present, and then just be aware of what you're feeling without going back into your thinking mind. So just that's a general intention, being aware of what you're feeling, your body, your emotions, your energy. Then in your mind, step through this little doorway into this new reality. And as soon as you step in, what do you feel? And for those of you that like conscious dreaming, that may have read the book Conscious Dreaming by Robert Moss, when you go into your dream, find your hand or find your feet. That I think finding your feet was Carlos Castaneda. So that's something you can do also when you step in. It's like, see your hands. What are you feeling? And you can meet the Fool, the jester. This is the Joker card. Well, actually, all the major arcanas, the Joker card in the modern playing decks, and lead and allow this figure to lead you to your new destiny. Allow this guy to lead you to your new cycle in this new year energy. And you may meet with other guys you can't see. It's just the doorway. You can't see most of the scene that you're stepping into. See what colors, what smells, what you hear, and do that. For the next week. That's our recommendation. So anyway, let's do a 3-card spread now. So what are you guys saying? So something about the test. So whatever's happening, we send you a lot of prayers. I missed that comment. He says to see your hand, I think. Yeah. So he says that also. Not surprising. Yeah. Journey to Ixtlan. I mean, they were all good books, but Journey to Ixtlan was the one that really spoke to me the most out of that. And that's what I think one of the reasons it went more back into philosophy, like like a Yaqui way of knowledge, and then a separate reality. Went a lot into the, like the mushroom experiences and those types of things. But then Journey to Islam, really, anchored more into like philosophy, like shamanic teachings of those people. And it's interesting because all this happened internally with Carlos Castaneda. At the end of his life, he said he basically made it up. At least that's what I heard. But he didn't make it up. He was traveling in a different dimension and getting a lot of rich information, traveling through the dream time. So it's interesting. And then Tales of Power, that was the one right after Journey to Ixtlan. That was really powerful too. Those two were my favorites. Anyhow, let's do our 3-card spread. It's past now. Anybody missed that comment? Here's that. So, hello, Western New Yorkers. Yeah, it's about 32 out now. I know Cassadaga and Lilydale got tons of snow. They basically got two 20-year lake effect snow events in 2 years. But that's our modern weather. More energy, more cosmic energy. Also adds solar maximum, and then the weather systems oscillate more. You get, and you know what? Interestingly, a lot of people have been talking about cold winter, and I did predict cold, especially for the Midwest through the Mid-Atlantic and into the Southeast. Here in the Northeast, slightly below average, but December's been downright cold. Well, guess what? About at least a third of the country is expecting near record high temperatures for Christmas that they've ever recorded in over 100 years. 70s in Nebraska on Christmas Day. Hello, these are the oscillations of the the solar maximum and the energetic highs that we're in right now, and the transition from the global warming into the global cooling. So that's flipping now also. So it's kind of like when the if you're ever sitting by an inlet and you watch the tide changing, you start to see little eddies form, and that's what's happening in this Earth climate. We've been in a warming cycle for a while that got spiked by human activity. Absolutely, I do believe that. It would only take a decade for it to all correct if we change our habits here on planet Earth. So it's not a big player in the grand scheme of things. It's just sort of a very local influence in this time right now. But that said, but it's shifting. I do believe we're going into the global cooling. I do believe we are heading into a geomagnetic excursion, which could explain the magnetic anomalies on the planet, like the South Atlantic anomaly, the pole migration acceleration, and the changing of the climates and the changing of the ocean currents, because that's all driven by the sun, and the sun's driven by the cosmos. Changes in the sun's resonance changes how all these currents work on Earth, and a couple of signs. One, the last 2 winters here in the North, I'm including this winter, have been real winters after we never really had winters for 5 or 6 years. It seems like we settled into late autumn and then we stayed there basically. Maybe 1 or 2 snowstorms, maybe getting down to 0 once, and here where I live, you expect it to get down to 0 at least 5 times during the year. We've gone down to 10, even 20 below. That just hasn't happened anymore. But we already hit 0. I think on December 5th we hit 0 here. So and then there's been a recent rebuilding of Antarctic ice, which is very interesting. So the times they are changing. And come, once we hit around 2030, people may be starting to talk about geomagnetic excursion or polar shift, and what are we going to do if we come into a new disaster cycle, right? We'll be okay. The Earth will change as long as we have a plan. we'll be all right. Polar geomagnetic excursions have happened before. Humanity's adjusted. Um, yeah, extinctions didn't happen during a polar flip. Some species did, but there's no mass extinction. And how do geologists and scientists know that? Well, because there's a lot of iron in the earth and even in a lot of the rock formations. So they see the alignment of the iron on one level, one stratum is opposite the other, and then it's like, oh, the poles shifted, they flipped. That's why the iron has or orientation flipped. So there's accurate measures of that. It's not just conjecture. There's actual science behind that. So anyhow, so if you doctors, so what else do you guys think? I've been doing a lot of talking here. 65 to 70 in Denver. Oh wait, wrong one. Christmas Day. Yes, he might have record highs also. The Shake population exploded here. So about an interesting story that ticks have been weaponized. Think of Lyme disease. Lyme, Connecticut, the first cases. What's around Lyme, Connecticut? Let me think. Oh yeah, Plum Island. The place where they do all the bioengineering on bacteria and viruses. That's just a coincidence, right? Yeah, could be, right? It's like the Wuhan COVID, right? That was from the bats. Yeah, but what about that place, right over the hill? They test coronaviruses, they engineer corona. Oh no, that's just a coincidence. It's the bats. But there have been no bats infected. Oh no, but it's the bats, right? Enough said. So when we talk about weaponizing ticks, yeah, I don't have proof, so I'm one that I want proof before I say, yeah, this is absolutely true, but it resonates, and Lyme disease is not the only tick-borne illness too. There's others. So having very inflammatory skin. I've had eczema my whole life. I had done a lot of mind over matter. Went into remission. Now I have hives, which is different. My dermatologist said, "No, it's not eczema." I was like, "Well, my skin itches." But that happened. Speaking about like weaponizing, after I had it was a long COVID thing, and it never went away. That was about 2 years ago that I got COVID, and then my skin erupted, and it never really fully went away. Talk about weaponizing things. But the good news is that a tick cannot be on me more than a few minutes without my skin itching. So knock on wood, I'll never get Lyme disease because they can't be on me that long. I'll always know, even the little deer ticks. So silver lining. Anyway, 3-card spread as promised. Oh wow, we've got a lot of long comments here. All right, I won't post all of these. I know we got to get on with things, but this is interesting. Thanks, Betsy. There are like 5 tick-borne disease up here in the Northeast. Yeah, where I live, and oh gosh, yeah. The poor dogs. They get it. Oh, you're up in Nova Scotia. Well, you're used to a lot of wind up there. You live in the graveyard of North Atlantic cyclones, after all. And I know there've been some big ones because that off the coast of Ireland, the big wave surfers were up there last week because they had like 30 to 40 foot swells up there. That's because you had 75-mile-an-hour winds. So anyway, so I want to visit Nova Scotia though. I love the big storms. I go out and I just feel the energy. Yep. As predicted, it's snowing. All right. So 3 card spread for our week. Yeah, for our solstice messages. By the way, I dropped a video yesterday at 11:11 a.m. I know a lot of you saw that, but if not, it's one of my shorter videos, like 12, 13 minutes long. So you have your solstice message and 3 exercises that Spirit gave me for the solstice season. Um, 2 of them are variation on things that we do, and one's So if you want to check that out later, it's up for you. Where's my clipboard? Here it is. Um, this is an interesting card because this is powerful energy, and I'll explain why in a second. So this is again, if for those that jumped on Lake, and I know we jumped from like 38 to 44 on the live. This is the Hanson Roberts deck. 2 of Pentacles reversed, the 3 of Swords, then the 8 of Swords reversed. Now, 2 of Pentacles, that's the juggler. All 2s can represent relationships of some kind or another, connections. 2's the numerology of that. 3 of Swords, you have the heart, you have the Swords fusion, you have the storm cloud, very emotional energy. But the 8 of Swords is a good card when it comes out reversed, at least the way that I read and see the cards. Tarot is an amazing tool because they're basically they're archetypical images of our subconscious. So when we use tarot, it really brings things that are going on in our inner universe, our subconscious, out into the open for us to look at, and our subconscious knows. We have the ability to be able to see beyond the physical and understand the trends, and sometimes even be able to make accurate psychic predictions based on that. So it brings that really out for us. And I do these 3 card spreads. It could be, for some of you, it might resonate in your personal life. For some of you, it may, or for us, it may just be a community message. And then it's talking about the world at large. So something's splitting up. I think for some of you, if it resonates personally, there's been a hard and maybe a little bit of a painful separation. But you know what? The 8 of Swords is saying, but you're being released. You're being freed of something. So even if you're going through, it could be job. It doesn't necessarily have to be a romance. It could be a friendship. But whatever it is that you're going through, try to just work through the difficult part, because you are being released from some level of bondage. I think for a lot of us, it's very karmic. And I think what it's saying is this week, it's like, what patterns do we have that are subconscious, that are born out of our karma, none that, and maybe subconscious, suppressed shadows and stuff like that, and work on separating from that. In this rebirth, we have to let the old go in order to come into the new. Basically, I think on a world level, again, I'm seeing a lot of wind, a lot with the water, a lot of wind. Swords is air and wind also. Pentacles is earth. There could be, this next couple of weeks to the end of December that we discussed at the beginning also, there could be some very disruptive geological or atmospheric events. So, keep an eye on the weather. If your area gets an earthquake watch, know what you would do if an earthquake hit. 9 out of 10 times, getting it outdoors and away from structures and trees and stuff like that is your best protection or safety. In a really, really intense earthquake, you have the problems of the ground liquefying, but I don't think we're going to get anything like that. That would be, in the 9+ range and shaking for a while. But Japan, they just popped Japan in my mind. They've had the earthquake swarm that's anomalous and not unlike the 2011 leading up to that event also. But I think a lot with storms, a lot with that, and I don't know if I think even California might be getting some weather now. I'll have to check that later. maybe more for the Northwest. They don't need any more rain or wind there, that's for sure. Uh, but I also get the feeling like this could be something around like military stuff, and yeah, sometimes it's like domestic terrorism even in this and other countries. How we may find ICE getting active, the ICE here in the States, other military operations, a lot of revolutionary activity through the world. We only see about a tenth of it here because most of it, yeah, I wouldn't say it's not reported. It's just like the little fine print that you don't see. It's like, oh yeah, but by the way, 100,000 people died in a battle in Uganda. That kind of a thing. It's like, oh yeah, by the way. Another interesting thing, they're seeing a lot going around in the Orient too. There might be maybe in Korea, because there's always been on and off strife in North and South Korea. So yeah, I think something's going to happen where there's going to be a lot of change, and it's not. I don't think it's going to be easy, to be quite honest. But the message is stay in the heart, stay in your power. That's the unifying field. Uh, Not to let the news or anything that's going on freak you out, because we do have help from Spirit, Source, God, the ascended masters, the star beings, the ascended ones that are guiding humanity in its ascension. Yeah, maybe it's a separation from all of it. But you know what? As I'm talking, just seeing on the land, like the earth, there might be, there could be a land earthquake soon also. Again, keep an eye around California, the usual hotspots. I've been talked a lot about the New Madrid fault lately, because nothing happened. I predicted something would happen in the autumn there. Thankfully, that prediction didn't verify. Good. But sometimes it's just the timing that's wrong, not the prediction. So I think people in that area, need to keep an eye out also. Everybody, right? It's like, cut to the chase, everyone. Even the Northeast, we get earthquakes too. We had one a year and a half ago in northern New Jersey. I felt it up here, sitting in Kingston Nissan, and all of a sudden I felt the rocking. It's like, is this an earthquake? So I looked at the shelves, and there's a little bit of rattle. Like, yep, we're getting an earthquake. There's a 3.8 maybe. It was a high 3, but for our area, that's a moderate quake. Then and also areas around the Oklahoma, Arkansas, that area, you get the wastewater ejection from hydrofracking in that area. So there could be there's a potential for 5+ magnitude quakes around Oklahoma. That it's really from the fracking. So it's a lot's changing, and again, the Three of Swords usually comes up for separation, a big change in the wind. And I think just saying, this is the time to prepare. If you don't have your supplies, prepare for that disaster that will never happen. I know I when I prepare, usually nothing happens. When I get caught with my pants down, that's when something happens. So anything else you could say about? Let's go into our surprise. That's what I promised at the beginning. Ta-da! This is it, the Salvador Dali deck. Thanks to Adam Z and Euphrasia of the Manifest Yourself YouTube channel. Got me this gift about a year ago. These are tarot prints by the one and only Salvador Dali. So let me ask Spirit to give me the biggest, brightest, most beautiful print that will actually add to the meaning, because I want to get more information. Now that was pretty pretty daunting. All right, so what's this card? This looks like the Four of Pentacles, which is more about stability. Hello, superstitianism, welcome. And anybody else that know that got in, I'm still waiting for people to wake up. Yeah, well, that Three of Swords energy might be a big wake-up call to the universe. And hello again, Josh. And everybody else is here. And yeah, please hit the like and subscribe or follow. Thank you so much. Yeah, so this is the Dolly deck, the Four of Pentacles. That's often about like it's oh, let's look, they're always different. I'll bring this back to you in a second. I'm just trying to. There's three pentacles above, one and right around the root chakra of this lady here, and one person's looking one way, one person's looking the other. The Four of Pentacles is often about like holding on. It's about security. It's sort of a way of saying let go. Okay, I'm starting to get the symbolism now that a lot's changing. It may not all happen this week, and let me just flash back to this one also. So it may not all happen this week. And certainly we would hope there'd be no major incidents. Watch out for terrorist type of stuff. I'm just seeing military going into areas, and it could be very volatile. It's a shift. It's a shift in the higher consciousness, higher energy, but it's always rough in the shifts, always. So we have to just breathe through it individually, send a lot of love. So I think I know what we're going to do for our transmission also. We're going to send a lot of good energy to the earth and to all of her inhabitants, which we'll do in a few minutes. And this is kind of saying, don't hold on to the past. It's our basic survival instinct that we hold on because what's familiar or the subconscious deems survivable, and what's new and unfamiliar the subconscious deems as a threat. It's kind of like cats also. Look at cat behavior, because they because they're very their survival instincts are very pronounced. So when faced with something new, we tend to freak out because the subconscious like, this, I don't know what this is. We're gonna die, and then it tries to block you or tries to get in your way. So the idea is take a deep breath and let go, and maybe say some affirmations like, "New and different is good. We're gonna survive this. We're gonna thrive through the changes. It has to happen." So don't. I think part of the message: try not to hold on to the old. Try to do maybe some release work. Embrace to release, because if you just release things without embracing the lessons first, you just suppress. It doesn't work that way. So we have to embrace all the shadows. We have to integrate them, and then we release the shadow aspects. Those are those negative cyclical behavior cycles that sabotage our lives. Basically, that we do release once we embrace the shadows. So anyway, let's move on. I've got a couple of other goodies here. I wanted to do Isis Oracle today, so I missed that last Sunday. And then of course the medicine card, always with the animals, being the animal lovers that I and most of us are. Lucio, you let go. Hi, Mary. Yeah. Okay, so in New York City, watch out also. Right. Hoarding card. Exactly. So thank you for that meaning. And I really feel and understand the spread for this week. Thank you for that. And yeah, it's awesome to get heads up. Yeah, so a lot of it's our personal lives. And you know what? As we ascend, we're called to make separation with those people, those habits, whatever it is, that kind of keep us at a certain level that we're ascending from. So I know we've been in this process for a good while, so I think it's just amping up to the next level, to be honest. So what is the mystics of Egypt? I think didn't they find like another lost city under the water somewhere? Was that off of Maryland or something like that? Again, something else that we had predicted. Me and dozens of other psychics had predicted those types of discoveries. For this autumn, for this December, so forth. So anyhow, where are we? Wings of Isis. Well, we need those wings of Isis to lift us up above the chaos, above the drama, into the into the vibrations of Ra. This is the winter solstice, right? The rebirth of Ra, the sun god, and wings of Isis uniting with the angelic self. Well, that's a great message. Let's do some angel work also. Uh, Unite with our angelic self. Yeah. Thank you, Lindsay, for that. Thank you, Felicia, for all the beautiful compliments. Appreciate that. Got to keep doing our own work. Exactly. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think that's an acquired skill. Thanks for the thumbs up wherever that came from. So anyway, wings of Isis. Let's soar on those wings of Isis and get our uniting and our healing with our angelic selves, because all these beings of light, they're part of us. They're not, the angels are not separate from us. We're all connected. And to the animal cards. Okay, for you guys that have jumped on later, 7 o'clock, we're gonna do a really powerful energy transmission, healing, rebirth energy for the solstice with the master teachers. We'll get a little snippet of that in a minute. So let's see. This is the medicine cards. This will be Native American studies. So it's limited to the animals of the Americas. I want to make that clear. So we're not going to get leopards or elephants in this deck. One of these days I'll flip into the farmer deck, the spirit guide animals. That covers the global. Squirrel, gather your nuts, everybody. It's winter. Gather those nuts. So that could be energetic resources also, right? That's what squirrels do. They gather. The Four of Pentacles gathers. That's two messages. If there's a third, when you get a message 3 times, definitely listen to it. Stock up. What else do I need? I need matches. I need a bunch of kitchen matches. I'm thinking what I need. I've got basically everything else. I've got a little stove that I can use for wood. I've got another stove that I can use for butane. It's also a heater, though. You've got to leave a window open if you burn a butane heater. Yeah. So I got a carbon monoxide detector also for that. But I got about 500, 600 tea light candles. And if if it's cold and you have no power, there's a little trick I learned in a power outage last winter. You light about a dozen of those. I mean, my room is maybe no, it's not big, but it's probably over 100 square feet. But it's not. For a bedroom, it's a decent size with a small. It could be in the teens out, and I could warm it to about 50 in my room. I mean, that's not exactly comfortable, but it's survivable. And once something happens, all of a sudden our thinking changes, right? It's not about comfort, it's about survival. It's like right now it'd be like 50 degrees. That sucks. And it's like if that ever happened, thank God it's 50 degrees in here. I can put my blankets over me. I can survive this. Got canned food that's exploding out of my cupboard. So I want to be prepared, not scared. I'm not scared. No matter what happens, I know I'm going to be okay. And the prepared, what's that expression? If you fail to prepare, you prepare to fail. So these are messages about that, and that's what squirrels are. Squirrels are very resourceful. So this is our time to be resourceful right now, and to be able to survive if we have a spiritual winter. I'm gonna maybe revisit that whole 3 days of darkness energy, because I kind of poo-pooed it a little bit, honestly. But then all of a sudden I got this feeling. I think it was yesterday, in fact. Maybe my guy said, Adam, they sometimes they call me by name, just like Chat GPT. Hello, Adam, and I say, hi, Aurora. That's her name. I know it's just AI, but it's fun that way. But they're like, what was I gonna say? I need water, lemon water, time of cleansing also. That's funny because I lost that whole freaking train of thought. But in any event, maybe it'll come back to me. What was I talking about? Now the lack of sleep is starting to show right now. Either that or my age, one or the other, is starting to show right now. I clearly got off of that thought train, and it's gone. It took off without me. All right. Anyway, I think we got the information we're meant to get. It bothered me, but oh, it's the 3 days of darkness. Thank you. If it's very geologically active. If we had a super volcano, that could cause, well, that would be more like a nuclear winter, right? I mean, it would take a lot for there to be so much volcanic dust that it shrouds the atmosphere. And if that happened, it's like we might as well just prepare, make our peace with St. Peter if that happens, because if there's enough volcanic ash to block out the sun to make the whole planet dark, we ain't surviving that, so it's not going to happen. But in any event, it could be symbolic of a situation that happened where the power does go out or something major happens. Oh, I shouldn't poo-poo that. It may still happen, not in a literal sense, but in some sense. I mean, if there's a big solar flare, say the satellites went offline, if they didn't get destroyed, I think on that note, that's another thing we're going to start to hear more and more of is the problem with all these Starlink satellites and other satellites. The orbit decays and then they kind of burn up in the upper atmosphere, and then all these metallic molecules start to precipitate down into the stratosphere. It's like, and then there's space junk. So a rocket, can't take off without the risk of it hitting. Could take the object like 10 millimeters, like a centimeter or less at those speed. It would create a gaping hole in a rocket that would boom, no more rockets. So I think that's going to be a big thing. How are we going to clean up space now? Now that short-sighted humans have done all this, and we have our high-speed internet. We have our 5G or 6G or whatever. That's thanks to all the Starlink and all the satellites. But like so much else that goes on in this world, it's extremely short-sighted. It's like, now what? So I think 2026, we're going to really hear a lot about that. Just as a side thought that came up, let's do our frequency, and then we'll do some frequency channeling. Anyhow, boundaries are important. Yes, boundaries are important. So whatever we're hugging Lindsay for, hug. We might, according to these cards, a lot of us may need hugs, So, different levels of separation, letting go is hard. But again, remember, whatever's happening, if it gets hard in your life or gets hard on the earth, it's a process of getting unstuck, unbound by these swords, basically, whatever that means symbolically, whether it's the society, the programming, or it's just being, in a narcissistic situation that you finally had enough and left it, whatever it is, it'll be worth any pain in the end to have a new level of freedom. Because with each level of freedom, well, guess what? We open our consciousness to new levels of energy and new levels of information, and that awakens or activates new dormant well, not new, but it activates dormant DNA. It activates new potentials, new gifts, and we become better because of it. So, on that note, frequency of the week. Anybody want to sing a little REM? What's the frequency? Can it do things again? Synergy. Synergy is a very popular card with us, is it not? The frequency of synergy supports our allowances and acceptance of not so obvious, never seen before combinations and unions that result in new ways of functioning, working, thinking, relating, loving, and being. It reminds us to embrace the unfamiliar so that new yet exciting co-creations can give birth to a new reality. So if there's a separation, it's going to open the door to a new union that has better synergy. if something ends in your life, it's going to open up the new doors. If there's problems that happen in our lives, in the world, or whatever, and some of the old ways crash, it opens up new synergy with higher energies that want to work with us in humanity. So that's basically what that looks like. So do we want to do a little activation work now? I love this card too. This is like the third or fourth time we've gotten this in the last couple of years. So trying to steal our water. Yes, they are. Your water wars is another thing. Is Mantis in, or do we have a Mantis Starseed with us? Hello, Mantis. Welcome. Welcome. I a couple of months ago, I had my first visitation from the Mantis beings. It was beautiful. They look like giant praying mantis. Well, mantis, right? They're not surprised they look like praying mantises. I mean, it's all in my mind's eye. I didn't literally see that. A couple of times they've actually materialized in my room. It's almost like there's like this little plasma burst, and then there's a being there, and then it's like, and then it will last a couple of seconds. Then it's just, oh my God! As soon as I snap back, it'll be gone. It's like the trick is to hold that state of energy and perceptibility, and not to like go back into your personal mind because something amazing happened, right? But we're human. We give ourselves permission. All right. Yeah, controlling the water. That's happening. That's happening in other countries. We again, the news doesn't report the news. They report the fluff, and I mean, they report some of the news, but 90% of it they don't report. And what they do report, they narrate in a certain way to program people in a certain way, basically. So it's all manipulative how the news is reported, anyways, even if it's real. So anyhow, and a lot of it, they want everybody angry, scared, upset, hating the president, or the opposite end of the spectrum, thinking that the U.S. president is a god incarnate. We can't have middle ground. We can't have that balance, right? It's got to be extreme, and extreme energies clash, and that's really that clashing energy and that distraction, that emotional distraction, to how they're getting away with doing all they're doing. And we're going to see we're seeing it already, but in the first part of 2026, the AI networks getting built, new ways of going onto the internet, new protocols, new security measures, they'll call it, and that maybe they are partly that, but it's also surveillance that happens. And a lot of changes and rolling out new technologies, like the YouTube algorithm is Gemini generated, I believe, which I hate, because it's kind of almost like if I wanted to work with the algorithm and grow, it's almost like I have to do things in a way that I'd rather not do it. I'd rather be much more eclectic. So I just was resolved to just slow and steady wins the race. Just keep building the core, not worry so much about the algorithm pushing my videos out to 100,000 people anymore. So anyway, it's all changing, and again, it's suppression of information, it's control. We know that. So let's do a transmission. We'll do it quick because it's kind of late. We've been on for a while. 12:21. Yeah, we did a 12:12 transmission. That's when we entered the solstice portal. 12:21 is where we step in. So that's what we're going to do tonight at 7 o'clock Eastern time here in the Medium channel. So we'll do a little mini transmission, and we'll send a lot of love, a lot of healing, right? I think that's what we said we were going to do. Oh, I'll let the master teachers lead. So let me just step out. And then, yeah, while I'm shifting, just start to relax. You could close your eyes, relax shoulders, chin and cheeks, and forehead. And just relax. As you're relaxing, if you really resonate with what we're doing, the idea, I'm sort of more apt to do more like organic kind of growth in the channel rather than trying to reach the masses at this point. And what that means is if you know people that might benefit from the channel, please share it. Let's build our core community, because we're going to, the time may come where we really need that connection with each other for various reasons. So just get nice and relaxed. Okay, when my hands come up like this, that means the master teachers are here. I'm already transmitting energy. Yep, I'm rocking. Haha, rock and roll, dear ones. We are the master teachers, beings and energies of interdimensional light. And we are of the channel's collective consciousness as well as yours, shall we say. So we do not exist outside of you. We are part of you, and you are part of us. And we are a part of you that has a very special mission with you on Earth, and that's to assist in your ascension, to raise the frequencies. So no, we are not here to report disasters in your world, to be the psychics and to tell you this is going to happen this day or the other. We are here specifically for one reason only, and that is to assist with your ascension right now, because now is the only time that matters. It's the now moment. And in this now moment, you have chosen to work with us, and we've chosen to work with you, and it's a beautiful synergy. Haha, yes. And in this present now moment, you have chosen to raise your frequencies. That is why you have attracted us into your lives, beautiful beings, because this is what we do. So just relax and allow these higher frequencies. We shall work on grounding, on healing and clearing, and getting you ready for this new beginning, this new cycle in your world in this winter solstice, or summer solstice for some of you, yes. You don't pretend the southern hemisphere of your world does not exist. So what are you folks in the south doing? Because you are in the peak of your light. Your job is, if you choose to accept it, your mission, if you choose to accept it, ha ha ha. We draw on the channel's memory banks, ha ha ha. It's to support the light, because you are in the half of the world that is of light, where the other half is in the dark time of the world. So beam that light of rebirth to help your planet and to help those in the north. In your peak solar day, as it were, where your solar light shines very, very bright, share that light and help to support the awakening. And back to you, 80% of your population thereabouts in the northern hemisphere, your job is to find the inner light, which is supported by the sunlight from the south. And that exists within the heart. And as you expand the frequencies of the heart, when things are at their darkest, the inner light shines its brightest. That is the healing. For when the heart is in perfect balance, resonance with nature, with spirit, with the frequencies that affect your world, they get translated by your planetary intelligence and resonance as something known as a Schumann resonance. When you are in sync with that, and a vibrational match to it, then you are vibrating with spirit, and the healing just happens. You're in the vibration of purity. You came into this world happy, healthy, whole, and complete. And in this present moment, you are happy, healthy, whole, and complete. So just hold that intention. We will do some toning and raise the frequencies with you and for you. Nayano Siddhyano Ma Shashos Sitiotapadenisia Mesu Tukaka Lamada de Pufu Wapa Machio Lekete Chakapupata Man Yana. Raising the frequencies, relax, and just allow the energies to flow. Breathe through. If there's any discomfort, allow the energies to flow. Connecting with the earth, connecting with each other, the great web of life, fabric of existence that you're all a thread of and all part of. And together, let's create a healing bubble surrounding the entire collective fields, the earth herself, all her beings, grounding into the earth. The earth will support you in your ascension as your vibration shifts and you start to tread on unknown land, as it were, an unknown trail. It's unfamiliar vibrationally, feels different, looks different, mostly feels different. That can be scary. Know that your earth, Mother Gaia, is supporting that, is supporting you. Don't be afraid, dear ones. It's ascension. It is death, but it's not physical death. We can say ego death, even though we do not believe that the ego dies. The ego gets reborn to be more aligned energetically with who you are, spirit, rather than running the show, as it were. Yes. Just let this healing energy flow, these high frequencies for just another moment. Now let's ground those energies, bring all that light into earth. There's the sun god Ra, reborn. In her stillness. Deepen your breath. Maybe wiggle your toes and fingers. Before we end, just imagine at the base of your auric field, there's a little tailpipe that opens to allow any excess energy. Could you just? It's a quick transmission, but there's a lot of voltage. I'll put it that way. It's more like light energy than electrical energy, but whatever. It's a lot of energy, and just let any excess energy drain back into the earth. Deepen your breathing. When you're ready, open your eyes. And for the 30 or so that stayed on for the transmission, thanks for being part of that. And hopefully that'll help your healing, your loved ones' healing, and the earth's healing. Thank you, LM128. So potassium deficiency. There's something that has a lot more potassium than bananas, but I forgot what it is actually. And then I believe we should always gift ourselves during the holidays alone. Yeah, I always get myself a gift too. Yourself is putting you first. Exactly. Good ideas. All right. I can't. Yeah, there's a lot of great comments here. So thank you for that, even if I didn't get to everybody. Hi, Claire. Hi. And see you guys at 7. They come for the transmission. And yeah, and I have the videos on the channel that I released yesterday about the winter solstice messages and spiritual exercises for this very unique once in a lifetime winter solstice with the sun moon alignment and the 3-eye atlas alignment. So this is really, and the cards supported that this is really a huge shift that this is precipitating. So anyhow, that video will help. And what was I going to say? And magnesium, yes, absolutely, magnesium very important too. Very good. Vitamin D. If you can get out in the sun, even when it's cold for 20 minutes, no sunscreen, that helps your vitamin D a lot. And yeah, so we have that video, and then we have tonight, we have the channeling. All right, thanks. I'm gonna sign off now. Have a beautiful Sunday, and I'll see some of you later. Greetings from Los Angeles. Thank you, intuition. And if you got on a little bit late, well, we've been on an hour and 20 minutes. Lot of great information that came through today, important information. So I encourage everybody to, if you feel resonant with it, to check it out. Okay, love you.